Hey everybody, welcome to the Homestead. So what we're going to do today is plant our seedlings. So a few videos ago, we did a video on how you can sprout all your seedlings with just a paper towel and a little sandwich baggie. And so it's now time to take all of our seedlings that we have sprouted and put them in some dirt, get them ready to grow a little bit before we plant them in the garden. So this is our next step. Let's take you through it all. So now just after a few days, we have most, if not all of our sandwich baggies sprouting. All of the seeds are sprouting and most of them are sprouting. And so it's time to start removing them because some of them are getting a little out of control. They're starting to grow so fast that if we don't get them into dirt soon, they're gonna suffer. So it's time to remove these things. Like I said, most of them have only been in the baggie for just a few days, a week or less sometimes. So we need to get these things in some dirt. So take a look at this Arkansas Traveler pack right here. Let me see if I can get that to zoom in. You can see that some of them have already started developing leaves. So that's, you don't want to wait that long. That's kind of a bad thing. So that's an error on my part. You want to get these things in the ground before they start setting leaves. But they'll still do okay, they'll do fine, but we need to get them into the dirt so that they can grow and set down those roots properly. Here's some Egyptian spinach. And let me get that to focus real quick. You can see that they also are, putting out some leaves, and they are sprouting just fine in the baggie. They're ready to be transplanted. You don't need a heating mat. The whole point of that video I did before was you don't need to buy an expensive heating mat or some kind of gadget to get your seeds to sprout. You can do them just with a paper towel and a plastic sandwich baggie. Now, if you're a patron, you have been over to our Patreon website over at patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead, and you have seen that this was my wife's project for the winter, was to redo this whole wall and really this whole living room and install this window seat. Well, she has graciously given me the space of this window seat for a few weeks so that we can sprout our seeds, because really it's the only window access that we have in the house that gets actually a little bit of sun. We don't even have a south-facing window except for one in the kids' room, a small one, and so we can't put it in there, otherwise the kids will just knock it over. So what we're going to use is this east-facing window. It's kind of southeast-facing window, and use that to sprout our seeds, and so that they get a little bit of sun. Now we've got all of our potting mix right here, and at the end of the video I'll show you exactly what we're using for our potting mix. Because I know people are interested, people are always asking, what are you doing for your seed starting mix or your potting mix, for your new seedlings, and I'll show you that at the end of the video. But we've got it all mixed together here, and I've got our trays and the places where, the little pots that we're going to be putting all of our seed potting mix in and putting our seeds in. These are reused. I keep mine every year. I just stack them up, and usually I buy some more every year, but I think we've got enough now for this year to do almost everything, and I have some more outside sitting and ready to go. But what I do first thing is to wash these. Yeah, I know, I'm from Missouri, I say wash. It's, like the silent E, but it's the invisible R. Wash. It's how we do things. We wash things here. So I wash all these things, but you use a small amount of disinfectant. The disinfectant we use is Nixol, okay? This is a really good home cleaner, very safe to use, no harsh chemicals. It uses the same active ingredient called hypochloric acid, which is the same thing found in a human body's white blood cells. It's what your body uses naturally to kill off diseases, viruses, and bacteria that are in your body. And so, really cool product, Nixol.com. You can find more information. And so what I did this morning is I took all of my seed start trays and cups and things like that, and I dipped them into a slight Nixol solution that was diluted with water, and swished it around. So that kills any fungus or bacteria, things that might give my plants a hard time as they're growing. And as I transplant them into the garden, I don't want to take any funguses or anything that would be nasty that could be growing, any germs on here that would hurt the plants, and put that back into my garden. So it's just a nice way, something to start off with. It takes a few minutes. All I did was get a big tub, put in a few gallons of water, put in, maybe 4 tablespoons of Nixol, swish it around, and then I know my cups and everything is disinfected for planting this year. there you go, guys. Everything is labeled. All the seeds are in soil now and they're growing. Some of them are already coming up. We've got everything well watered. All of the soil is moist. We're ready just for things to start growing. Now, just so you know, there are some things I'd like to point out. When it comes to watering, it's a good idea to have a spray bottle like this, and you can just come along every day and spray it down and just keep all of the soil moist that everything's growing in. Want everything to have a wet environment. And underneath everything, we have newspapers and a towel so that nothing is really gotten too dirty or stained or anything like that. Jamie wants to make everything to stay clean. So, but it's good to have a spray bottle that you can just go through here every so often throughout the day, 2 or 3 times a day, and just keep everything sprayed down and moist. It's a good job for the kids to do. The second way that you may want to water, which is actually kind of easier, if you forget to water every so often. This is kind of a hard, you really would have to do a lot of spraying to keep something wet if you had maybe gone a whole day without watering. A good way to catch up is to use one of these turkey baster syringes and boil of water, soak up the water, and then come around and then just spray it down into one of your plants. So these are really handy, great things to have on hand to do watering tasks for individual pots. Work really well. Other than that, the kind of soil that I'm using, these 2 bags here, I know there's some really hardcore people out there that make their own seed starting mix. And, I work really hard at getting my garden, off on the right foot and having really nutritious soil for my plants to grow in. But I have tried over and over again making my own seed starting mix, and it just seems to end in disaster. So what I have decided to do is just go ahead and I go out every year and I buy a couple bags of seed start mix, and I usually get the natural organic Jiffy stuff. Works just fine just to get the plant started, and then after that you can throw them into the ground and then they take off. But that's the thing. For people who are new gardeners too, I want you to succeed. I want you to actually, because if you succeed, it's going to build your confidence and you're going to go out and you're going to do it again next year. And that's far better than going out and buying all your food at the store. So if you can get a leg up by going out and buying some seed starting mix just to get your plants off on the right foot, or if you can make some really good, seed starting mix on your own, great, do that. But I've just not had good luck with it. So what I do is I go out and I just buy seed starting mix, a couple bags, and that gets me off on the right foot, and my garden is great for that. Once a plant has started to mature, they can do the rest. But I buy the Jiffy Natural Organic Seed Starting Mix. It's a few dollars at the store, and then this was sent out by the homesteadbox.com, and it's Foothill Organics potting soil, and it's got some really good stuff in there. There's just stuff you can't beat, like things like peat moss, pine bark, perlite, feather meal, bone meal, and azomite. So it's got the rock dust in there. This is amazing stuff. This is going to really get your plants starting off on the right foot. Along with the Jiffy, it's got the peat moss in it. Let's see what the ingredients are on this. Ingredients. Basically, peat moss, vermiculite, core pith, and lime for pH adjuster. So peat moss is just a really great seed starting, starter mix. So then when you throw in something like this, I mixed it basically half and half, get the bags together, mix it all in a bucket and stir it up. And this has got the feather and bone meal and azomite. There are people out there who will tell you, I don't use any protein or animal-based products in my growing medium. But that's just silly. In my opinion, that's just nuts. Because when you go out there in the woods, the dirt is made up of what? It's made up of manure. Animals poop and pee in the woods. They shed their feathers in the woods. That's what dirt is made up of. It's made up of, organic plant matter, but it's also made up of organic animal matter. Dead animal carcasses, their manure, they poop on the ground. That's what dirt is. And so if you say, I'm not going to have any animal proteins in my potting soil, I want to stay all vegan, that's just ridiculous, because that's not how nature acts, in nature. So what I try to do is get, as many type of waste products, animal waste, plant waste, use all of it insect waste, insect frass, worm castings, all the things that naturally occur in nature. And you can make this on your own. You can go out and buy the bone meal. You can go out and buy the azomite, and we do. You can go out and buy the feather meal, and the pine bark, and the perlite, and the peat moss. You can buy all that and mix it yourself, but you're going to pay a whole heck of a lot more than just going out and buying a bag of it that's pre-made already. So, when it comes to getting your seeds start off on the right foot, I have no problem, with people who go out and buy, the seed mix. If you're one of those guys who's all hardcore and you can do it all yourself, great on you. But I just don't have the time. That takes a lot of time and effort to go ahead and piecemeal all those ingredients and put them all together. Anyway, so there you go. It's all set. It's all growing. Everything is labeled. I got about 60 Arkansas Traveler tomatoes here growing, plus this whole tray is Arkansas Traveler. So all told, I'm probably going to have about 80 tomato plants. And that gives me enough to give some away to friends and family in the area. And then also I've got all the Egyptian spinach. I have a lot of hot peppers, a lot of baby tomatoes, some different various things, and everything else that I'm going to plant in my garden this year, I'm just going to basically put in the soil, by hand. When it comes to beans, green beans or okra, you can just plant right in the soil. It does fine. In fact, people have asked me, is there anything that doesn't transplant well? Okra does not transplant well in my experience. You may be able to do it, but I have found that if I start okra inside in pots like this, and I try to put it outside, it just doesn't do well. So what works well for me is just taking the little okra seeds and planting them into the ground by hand, and it works fine. But there you go. All these things coming up in my living room for the next 2 or 3 weeks. Hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks tops, the last frost date will have passed, and I'll be able to get this stuff in the ground, and we'll be off to the races with some warmer weather coming up. And I may even leave some of the hot peppers inside a little longer to make sure that they're going to do okay. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the farmer's market, and if I usually like to support my farmer's markets. If I see something that I really want in my garden, I'll buy it, and I'll support my farmer's market that way. And I usually do buy a few plants at the farmer's market every year because I want to support them. I know having a farmer's market stand is an uphill battle. You rarely ever get what you put into it, and so most farmers at the farmer's market barely break even, and I want to support them. And I think you should do the same thing as well if you can. So I like to go and buy a few plants every year and then put them in the garden as well. But that's the majority of our garden. We got lots of other things already out there growing, some of the winter cabbages and things like that. But we're well on our way to having a great garden this year. I hope you are too. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, please check out this list of amazing folks. These are our patrons. They make all of our videos possible. We could not do what we do here on the Homestead without these guys. So big thumbs up to them. If you want more information, you can go to patreon.com/An American Homestead to see all the benefits. Other than that, like, subscribe, share our videos, check out the videos on the left, and we'll see you next time on An American Homestead.